Hi, I'm Kaylee and I'm making this video for anyone who chooses to watch. I hope someone does. This is not self-help. This is not me being rude and saying that you're making bad decisions, or because I know where you are. I know where you're coming from. I've had a rough couple of years, and I know that life is difficult. I do understand that sometimes things happen and thoughts run through your head that you'd much rather not. I've had that happen. I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that I hadn't thought about cutting, that I hadn't thought about suicide. I think anybody would be lying if they did, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel like everybody has at some point in time, whether they want to admit it or not. I've never acted on it. Maybe you have. Maybe someone you know has. Maybe it hurts. Maybe it hurts them. Maybe it hurts you. Maybe it hurts their family. I don't know. I know that it should hurt everybody, and the pain is real. But pain demands to be felt, and that's what John Green says. And it's definitely true. People try to run from it, they try to find other ways of feeling it, and the thing is, you really can't. And it's a really difficult thing to deal with, and that's kind of why I'm talking today. Because some people are thinking right now about suicide or cutting or not eating or some terrible thing. And I just want everybody to know that life is way too precious for you to just throw it away. You have so much, whether you can see it or not. There's way too much, and if you don't feel like there's anybody out there in the world that cares about you, keep watching, because I care about you. You can't use that excuse. You have someone that cares. And if you've done this in the past and you're regretting it, stop. It's not worth it. It's not something you should worry about. And the notebook that I just picked up is an entire notebook that I've almost completely filled up over the past few years, of stories and hard times and tears and quotes and everything. Stuff that's helped me get through the dark times, where I was in the dark times, because I felt like no one was there to listen. I was in therapy for a while, and I felt like the only reason they were listening was because they were being paid to. But there's always someone that's willing to listen, and I found someone, and it does help. This notebook is pretty much how I got through everything. I just wrote everything down, all my thoughts, all my feelings, all the quotes. And this quote is by, well, I don't know who wrote it, but it was on Criminal Minds, and Joe Mantegna is the person reciting it. It says, "Scars remind us where we've been. They don't have to dictate where we are going." And I love this quote, because if you've already done something terrible that you regret, you need to stop, because there's nothing you can do about that. You've already done it. And just because you've done that in the past doesn't necessarily mean that you'll do it again in the future. Doesn't necessarily mean that your brothers or your sisters or your friends or your kids, it doesn't really matter. That it doesn't know. It doesn't matter. No one cares. To be honest with you, I mean, that sounds terrible, but I care. There's someone that does care. And if you don't have anyone, I want you to know that that person is definitely me. That's why I'm making this video. If you have anything that you want to say, anything you need to tell anybody ever, I want you to comment on this video. I want you to share this video with people who you know are going through a hard time. Because if they are, and they're thinking about suicide or cutting or anything else, they need to get help. If you're thinking about that, please, please get help. When I first started going through all this, I didn't want to get help. But I promise you, it's worth it in the end. You're going to hate doing it. They're going to hate doing it. Everyone involved is going to be miserable for quite some time, but they'll all feel better eventually when it's over. It does hurt. It leaves a mark. It does, it will. Everything does, but it's just something you're going to have to get used to. You shouldn't have to suffer because some stupid kid or a group of some stupid kids decide that you are not worth it. That you are not worth their time, you're not worth living, you're not worth it, you're not perfect, you don't follow all the trends, you don't do what everyone expects you to, whatever. I say color outside the lines. Ignore them and be yourself. Being yourself is probably the most important thing in the world to do. If you don't act like yourself, who will? People are like snowflakes, there's one of each. There are no copies of a single person. And once that one person is gone, they're gone. There's nothing you can do. They have to decide to be themselves. You have to decide to be yourself. Please decide to do that, no matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what they say, because you are important. You're perfect just the way you are, and you're loved. It upsets me how many times a day, or a week, or a month, a year, it doesn't matter. It upsets me how many times I hear somebody say that somebody hates them, or this person did this to them, this person made them cry, this person hit them, this person told them to go kill themselves. I've heard this way too many times. It's terrible and it shouldn't happen. If this is happening and it's upsetting you, my advice to you is to just ignore it. The best thing to do is ignore it, and it takes some time to be able to do that. It definitely takes time to learn how to shut out the voices that are against you. But eventually you'll be able to do it. I learned how. It definitely took a long time to do. But it definitely helped. I did it. And my friends are learning how to do that. And I hope that you all will learn how to do that as well. Because it's just not worth listening to all the criticism. There's a difference between constructive criticism and just bullies. Bullies are everywhere, and they cause you to do stupid things. And it's not worth regretting, it's not worth doing, it's not worth listening to the people, because people are cruel, kids especially, but everything does get better. You just have to believe that it'll get better and find what makes you feel good about yourself. Find it, because there are so many better ways to deal with all the anger and hurt and pain that you have inside of you than cutting or ending your life. You can do so much. Everybody can. I don't care what you've been told. You're perfect and you are meant for this world. God created you for a reason. If you find that reason, you will be happy. I found what I want to do with my life, and once I started getting into that, I'm happy now. Like, I want to be a special education teacher, and I was happy once I found that out, because I can start focusing on something. I mean, at the end of the day, I read and I write and I go to school and I go to dance and I listen to my music and whatever. And I have something to focus on. I have goals to focus on. I have my music to focus on. I love my music. It is it's an outlet for feelings. Whether you're happy or you're upset or you're angry, there's music for everything. Writing is my other main outlet that I suggest, because sometimes people just don't like sharing their feelings, and if you write them down, you don't have to share them with people, but you still got them out. You still got to say what was on your mind. And those are the only things I can suggest to do, because that's all that I know. There are definitely more ways to do this, but everyone has their own fix. And like I said, I've been where most of you watching this video are right now. And I'm not saying that once you figure out why you were created, why you were born, why you're here, you figure out how to ignore everybody. I'm not saying that everything's going to be perfect right away. It's absolutely insane to think that. Just because you change doesn't mean the world will change. The world probably will never change unless you do something. It starts with one person, it really does. No matter how cheesy that sounds, it's true. It starts with one person. You have to choose what you want to do. It will take some time for this to go away. Like, you are not going to find out why you're here one day, and then the next day be happy and laughing and walking around like nothing ever happened. It's just not going to work that way. I wish it did, but it doesn't. But the first step is admitting that something is wrong. Whether you admit it to yourself, you admit it to your parents, you admit it to therapists, grandparents, family of any kind, whatever, a friend, it doesn't matter. You just have to admit that you have a problem. And eventually, things will get better. You cannot expect things to get better right away. If you expect things to get better right away, you're just going to be more and more upset every day when you don't get exactly what you want. It's just going to make things worse. I'm sorry, but it is. You have to have a little bit of faith and wait it out. So I'm a big nerd, and I'm proud of that. I love it. It makes life so much more fun, but I use quotes to make me feel better. And music is also another thing that I suggest. Getting into music of any kind. That also helps. I don't know why, I guess just because it makes you feel. It makes you feel just about every emotion ever, but I'm going to say one last thing before I go. Please, if you're depressed, if you're cutting, if you're not eating, if you're throwing your food up, if you're thinking about killing yourself, stop. Take a deep breath and let yourself cry. Because crying will make you feel better. But the second you're feeling well enough, get up, brush yourself off, and go to someone that you trust and tell them how you feel. Because if you keep all of your emotions bottled up inside like I did, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Because it hurts, it leaves a hole, it leaves a scar, it leaves many scars. And it's not something you'll recover from easily. It never is. But if you don't get up and walk out of your bedroom or wherever you are to someone that loves you, someone you love, someone you can trust, someone you respect, look up to, whoever you feel like is the safest person to tell all of this to, you need to do it immediately. I hope this helps. Yeah, so if you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment below for me, and I hope I'll see you guys soon. Okay.